It's week 11. We are the 5 substitute teachers. We're teaching you today the experiential learning. I'm Mahmoud, Ashley in the back,
Everyone.
Marley, Mark, and Alana. Sorry, I forgot your name there. Okay. Block 2 is what is experimental learning. Experimental learning is any learning that supports students in applying their knowledge and conceptual understanding to the real-world problems or situations where the instructor directs and facility learnings. This can happen in the classroom, libraries, studios, where they're setting for the experimental learning through embedded activities such as case studies, problem-based studies, and stimulation. However, when students are given opportunities to learn in authentic educational learning on the campus or in the community, for instance, like internships, placement, as the university gives out after you've finished your degree, the learning becomes significantly more powerful by engaging in formal, guided, authentic, real-world experiences. Why is experimental learning important? Experimental learning teaches students the competency they need for real-world success. Authentic experimental learning creates an invaluable opportunity to prepare students for a professional or a career which creates evidence to contribute to its body knowledge. Experimental learning motivates students. For instance, when students are engaged to something relevant, such as we got a case study and he's a law student and he's talking about criminals and he wants to major in criminology. Sorry, no offense. Like, for instance, there's a case study about crime, and he wants to become a lawyer, criminal law. So yeah, he's more interested into becoming into that type of field. Experimental learning creates self-directed learners. This becomes into uncomfortable situations, such as now, as you can all see, you guys are all in different allocated seats. So this is an uncomfortable situation. By this, you can go back on this situation. The next step is reflective learning. This puts you all into critical thinking and how to communicate with each other. I'd like to pass you on now to Ashley, and he'll be talking to you about the model.
Perfect, thanks, Mahmoud. Alright, so we're just going to talk more in depth about the Lewinian model and a bit more about experiential learning. So as most of you may know, experiential learning is a form of rote learning and specific learning, which is through experiences, actions, adventures, self-awareness, self-efface, and opportunity and cooperative learning. So these are all forms of experiential learning through experience and through just learning and participating in an actual adventure or task. So referring to the Lewinian model, so you've got concrete experience, which is the first step. So this is through learning through an actual experience. So it's like a pathway, step after step, experience after experience. Has anyone here ever been involved in this sort of process or been in a system where you've learned from experiences after experiences, similar to an assignment? So if you go and you're looking at, say, an outline of what's required, then you start, but then you do a question and it changes what you need to do. So this is through an experience changing what you need to do. Anyone here involved in this outside of university or even inside?
Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, answer the question.
Not sure? Kind of. So have you ever been outside of school, say even in a sporting team or something, so you've been involved, say you're losing, and then from a previous time in a game that you've lost, did you ever think, okay, we're going to change this tactic up through this experience because I know it doesn't work. So what can we do to involve this into learning and even doing better for ourselves?
So then it's when, like, you, for example, you fail an exam, assignment, and then the next assignment, you learn from that previous assignment.
Yeah, so
start later.
Good, yeah. So learning from experience, like a footstep, one step after the other, a concrete experience, yeah. So the next step here is reflective observation. Just so you all know, if no one wants to answer, we've got a straw little thing here. There are 6 straws and there is a straw one. If you draw it, you've got to answer. So reflective observation is pretty much referring to an experience through reflection through an observation. So after this class, you will all talk, reflect with each other, say, oh, they didn't do a good job, or they did a really good job. This is a reflection through experience on an observational scale. The third step here is an abstract conceptualization. So this is your concept and understanding of an idea and experience and interpreting it in the way that you perceive it. The final step here is active experimentation. So similar to the first one, how you said you're changing due to the experience of what you've implemented. So you're understanding of what's required and what needs to be happening, and then you're implementing it in your own way. Anyone here have an understanding of what an experimental learning scenario or position is in life? An example would be in your handouts. If you look at an internship, is a example of experiential learning. So just learning in a step. So cooperative learning as well. So this is when you're studying at university as well as working in education. So this could be an architecture firm, participating in working inside and outside of just uni. So you're studying as well as working outside. So you're getting two educations, two different experiences. So it's a great learning experience. Teaches you both primary, secondary, and inside and outside of what you want to study in. Any other ideas or anything come to mind to anyone?
I think the straws has to come out.
It's in the handout. So have a look. Another one will be like field work. So studying the field, getting a feel for experience and getting out there. So think of experiences. That's what it's all about today. So getting a feel of experience, learning through experience and participating.
So like cooperative education.
Exactly. Another big one is student learning. So right now, I'm learning, teaching you. So this is an experience. So this is confronting, yet it's still good to do. I'm learning how to present. You guys learning how to talk and get taught from someone who isn't a teacher, but still the same level as you. So it's a bit more engaging to it. So I'll just hand it on to Alana now, who's going to talk to you about the benefits of this.
Okay, so the benefits of experiential learning include enhancing your self-awareness, developing critical thinking skills, being able to bridge the gap between theory and practice, and to increase your engagement levels as well. So when I'm talking about self-awareness, what I'm talking about is basically becoming aware of your own personal characteristics. So can anyone tell me what kind of personal characteristics that make up them as a person? Like your values? What else?
Yeah, he wants to answer.
Yeah, just like your personal experiences throughout life. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got your values, you've got your culture, you've got your background, your parents' upbringing.
Exactly, so like your beliefs as well, and your prejudices and your skills. So it basically allows us to evaluate ourselves and to ask the question like, what is the underlying reason to why I'm acting the way that I am? So for example, say you're in an argument with someone and you're getting really passionate about it and emotional, and then you reflect on that later and you try to understand why was I acting that way, and maybe the reasons were because of what you believe in or because of your feelings, etc. So experiential learning allows us to identify those personal characteristics and to realise that they do actually affect our actions. And then we have critical thinking. So critical thinking is analysing the situation, critiquing and questioning theories and assumptions, and also evaluating information that you've learnt through experience, through reflection, and through observation. So when we're critically reflecting, we're not just taking the experience on its own as substantial, we're actually thinking about it and analysing it and evaluating it, and that's how we make it more substantial as an experience. And then we have bridging the gap between theory and practice. So basically we use the explicit knowledge that we're taught, whether it's in educational systems or through training processes. We use those theories and concepts and we put them into action. And then we have the increased levels of engagement. So the more engaged you are as well, the more motivated you're going to be to learn. So for example, you're going to be put into an actual experience. So you're going to be problem solving, you're going to be investigating, asking questions, making decisions, and taking initiative. So for example, right now, you're all just listening to me teach. So it's not as engaging as it is when we're asking you questions. And when later on we're going to be doing activities with you guys, and that's going to get you more engaged in the activity because you're going to be problem solving and making decisions and all of those things as well. So now I'm going to pass you on to Marlene, who's going to talk to you about the barriers.
Okay guys, so up here we have 4 barriers to learning. So we have the social, cultural, personal, practical, emotional, and workplace barriers. So social and cultural is pretty much the culture of the organisation and your social groups within that organisation. So if you're in a team and you want to sway a bit from the views of the team, you're less inclined to do so because you're afraid of rejection within that kind of situation. Now, cultural, it works within your own background as well. Some cultures are actually more inclined to try new things and have a real emphasis on education and learning, whereas some not so much, it's more on status. Whereas organizational culture is very important in this situation where if the organization doesn't give you that space or that creativity allowance, you're not necessarily going to try new things and work outside that comfort zone. Personal and practical, does anyone want to have a go on what they think that is?
Straws.
Like your age and the time that you're.
Yeah, so how do you think that is a barrier?
I mean, the older you are, the more resistant you are to change. And
Yep.
the younger you are, the more open you are to others' opinions.
Yeah, of course. Anything else? Anyone else?
Team captains?
Yeah, I think she wants to say something here. That's right. She wants to say something.
Time, the deadlines that you've got.
Yeah, so how do you think that's going to affect the person?
Put stress on yourself. You know, you've got too much stress, you're probably not going to be thinking
Yeah.
straight as you want to.
So your mind is more in a state of chaos, so you're not necessarily going to work outside that comfort zone and maybe work efficiently. Yeah, so emotional. Does anyone want to have a little bit of a go at that one?
You could have some troubles at home that affect the way you think. Your mind wouldn't be 100% on your work obligations, I guess, and you would work to 100%.
Yep. A lot of the time, it also stems from negative past experiences. So if you've tried something, failed miserably, got in trouble for it, you're less inclined to actually try new things again. It's kind of you stay within that comfort and what the manager has specified, but you won't necessarily challenge that. And workplace.
Vocation.
Team captain from group 5?
I think
Everyone gets a straw.
I think everyone has to get a straw. Pull out a straw,
Please.
please. You don't mind? You don't mind? You don't mind? All right, you got the shortest straw. You have to answer the question. Yeah, just give it the hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was about workplace.
Support network within an organization is missing.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're not given that support network within the organisation and your managers don't give you the resources or allow you that creativity, you're obviously once again not inclined to challenge that. So does anyone want to have a crack at how those barriers can be overcome within an organisation?
Cooperation in the team.
Yep.
Yeah.
So open communication.
Mixing groups, like different ages, different cultures.
Yeah. Effective management, really.
Perfect. So if management is doing all the things it's supposed to be doing, so open communication gives the resources that they need to and allow people to speak openly, they're more inclined to, they're less afraid to actually voice their own opinion and suggest new methods. So yeah, and now I'll pass it on to Mark.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm going to be talking to you about self-reflection versus group reflection now. And so reflection as an individual, it leads to growth morally, personally, psychologically, and emotionally. So those are the 4 types. And self-reflection is like looking into the mirror and reviewing yourself just as a person. So you look and you see what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, what's your faults, what are your achievements, your skills. Stuff like that is when you reflect as an individual, personally. And group reflection is more on the lines of working as a unit rather than on your own. So you're addressing your other group members' performances and efforts as a group. Say, for example, you guys do an assignment and you just pick what were their faults of some of your group members and what were their strengths. So that's the type of group reflection. There's good group reflection is good because you can share ideas and opinions with each other and just you can improve yourself overall, maybe more from other people's advice rather than your own by reflecting on your own. But it's also pretty bad because sometimes you can cause conflicts through your reflecting as a group. For example, if you do an assignment together, one member says he does the best in the assignment, does the most, and then on the other hand, the group turns around and says, no, you didn't do much, you did very little. So you can cause conflict there because reflecting can be different with groups and on your own. So if you've taken that advice on, I want to play a little activity with you all to just address what's the difference between group reflection and self-reflection. Okay, so the question is, if you saw a person drop $500 on the street, but they've walked down the street and they're pretty much gone. Not gone, but you can catch them if you chase them, probably, right? Would you go pick up that $500 and just say, it's mine now, find its keepers, you know what I mean? Or would you go chase after the person, say, even if they got in their car, and go give them $500, right? Now you're in groups, you've been split. I want you guys to talk amongst yourselves for about 2 minutes and give me an answer. Each one of your groups has to give me an answer on what you would do.